violence during the SIR hearing process, alleging widespread harassment of common people in the name of identifying local discrepancies or factual inconsistencies in voter documents. Protesters now claim that the rigorous verification drive is unfairly targeting genuine voters, leading to widespread frustration and fear of disenfranchisement. Renik Datta with us on the broadcast to share more details. Renik, we can clearly see violence in the Chakulia district in North Dinajpur. Arson as well is being reported. What are you learning at the moment as far as the situation on ground at the moment is concerned?
देखिए एसआईआर को लेकर एकदम वायलेंस जो है वो देखने को मिल रहा है। नॉर्थ दिनाजपुर का जो चाकुलिया एरिया है उस एरिया में जैसे कि आज सुबह एसआईआर का जो प्रोसेस चल रहा था उस प्रोसेस में सही तरीके से नहीं चल रहा है, ये आरोप उठाया जा रहा था। और उसके साथ साथ ही एसआईआर का जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स उसको लेकर साक्ष्य किया जा रहा था, ऐसा जो रेसिडेंट्स है उनकी तरफ से आरोप दिया जा रहा था। और उसके साथ साथ एसआईआर के नाम पे, एसआईआर के हियरिंग के नाम पे जो आम जनता है उनको हैरेस किया जा रहा है, ये आरोप लेकर वीडियो इसके सामने प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा था। एसआईआर का हियरिंग जिस जगह पर चल रहा था उस जगह पर ही ये प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा था। उस दौरान ही पुलिस की तरफ से प्रोटेस्टर को हटाने के लिए लाठीचार्ज किया गया। उसके बाद प्रोटेस्टर की तरफ से पुलिस के ऊपर हमला किया गया। उस एरिया में पुलिस और आम जनता दोनों के बीच में जो लगातार हाथापाई का जो घटना वो सामने आया है। चाकुलिया का जो हाई रोड है उस हाई रोड को बंद करके प्रोटेस्टर जो है वो रास्ते में बैठ गए हैं।
Indeed.
प्रोटेस्ट भी दिखाया जा रहा है।
जी, in fact, Renik, stay on with us. You've mentioned that the situation is escalating rapidly. Demonstrators have blocked key roads by, in fact, setting tires ablaze, bringing traffic to a standstill as well. The agitation is continuing with the furious crowd storming the premises of the block development office in Chakulia, vandalizing property, damaging furniture, breaking windows and ransacking records inside the building as well. Reports are coming in that local police and district administration have rushed additional forces to the spot to bring the situation under control. Reports are indicating that several people have been detained. Meanwhile, authorities are appealing for calm and urging protesters to vacate the premises. Now, no confirmed reports of injuries have been made so far, but the area remains tense with heavy security deployment and road blockages continuing in parts of the district. Renik still with us on the broadcast. Renik, of course, you've mentioned that traffic has been brought to standstill with tires being set ablaze on roads, but we're also learning that the block development office has been ransacked as well.
एकदम देखिए बीएलओ का ऑफिस को पूरा तोड़फोड़ किया गया है। बीएलओ का ऑफिस पे जो भी फर्नीचर था वो बाहर फेंका गया है और उसके साथ साथ ही बीएलओ के ऊपर भी हमला किया गया है। जैसे कि सूत्रों के हवाले से खबर मिल रहा है कि पुलिस की तरफ से जब लाठीचार्ज किया गया उसी टाइम पर ही मॉब की तरफ से बीएलओ ऑफिस के ऊपर हमला किया गया। जो आईसी चकुलिया है यानी इंस्पेक्टर इंचार्ज उनको भी घायल किया गया है, उनको भी चोट लगा है, उनको अस्पताल में ले जाया गया है। और उसके साथ साथ ही पुलिस का लाठीचार्ज में करीब 5 से 6 लोग बुरी तरीके से घायल हुए हैं। ये पूरा मामले पर अभी तक 10 लोगों को पुलिस की तरफ से डिटेन किया गया है, ऐसा पुलिस के सूत्रों के हवाले से खबर है। और उसके साथ साथ ये प्रोटेस्टर है पूरा रास्ता ब्लॉक कर दिए थे, रास्ते में टायर जलाकर उनकी तरफ से प्रतिवाद किया जा रहा है। और उसके साथ साथ ही पुलिस के ऊपर भी पत्थर फेंका जा रहा है, पुलिस के ऊपर भी पत्थरबाजी किया गया है और पुलिस की तरफ से भी ये मॉब को हटाने के लिए टीयर सेल भी चार्ज किया गया है, ऐसा भी सूत्रों के हवाले से खबर मिल रहा है।
All right, Renik, with that, I'd like to thank you for taking our time, of course, sharing all of those details with our viewers. We will continue to track these updates, but we're shifting focus back to the Supreme Court that has resumed hearing the Enforcement Directorate's plea seeking a CBI probe against West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on allegations that she interfered with the agency's search operations at the office of political consultancy firm I-PAC and its co-founder Pratik Jain. A bench of justices P.K. Mishra and Vipul Pancholi are hearing the matter at the moment. Up until now, what's taken place in the Supreme Court so far earlier in the day was that the ED claims that the Chief Minister, accompanied by police officials, barged into a live PMLA search and facilitated the removal of evidence amounting to theft. The ED also claims that its own officers were lawfully acting under Section 17 of the PMLA in a multi-state money laundering probe involving thousands of crores. Thirdly, the ED has claimed that police and state machinery acted in concert to demoralize central agencies and obstruct statutory investigation. ED has also in fact alleged that WhatsApp messages and logistical arrangements show the disruption was orchestrated and not spontaneous. On the other hand, the West Bengal government, including CM Mamata Banerjee and the police, have claimed that ED action was politically timed, with searches launched just before elections, despite the last call scam statements being recorded in February 2024. The West Bengal government also claims that I-PAC premises contains sensitive party and election data, and as the chief minister, she had the right and duty to protect confidential political material. The West Bengal government has alleged that ED's own Panchnama records that the search was peaceful and orderly contradicted claims of obstruction, theft or forcible seizure. So this is what has taken place in the court earlier, and now we're learning that Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has stated that the ED officers are here to seek protection of their rights under Article 21 because they were threatened. He's further stated that they're also here for the rights of the victims of money laundering. My colleague Sambhav Sharma with us on the broadcast to share more details. Sambhav, I've given a rundown of what's taken place over the course earlier, but hearing is of course taking place live at the moment. We're learning some fresh statements from the Solicitor General, who's stated protection for the officers under Article 21.
Well, absolutely. Here, the post-lunch hearing is begun in the top court. The two-judge bench of the Supreme Court is hearing this matter since morning. It's been over 2 hours in the Supreme Court for this hearing. Before lunch, it was for 2 hours, and a post-lunch hearing begun in the Supreme Court. And additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju, who earlier appeared in the Calcutta High Court yesterday, and now he is appearing in the Supreme Court for the Enforcement Directorate, is saying that rather he is seeking a stay on the FIRs lodged against the Enforcement Directorate officers, and he is arguing that Article 21 of Indian Constitution gives rights, and those rights were threatened, and the Central Bureau of Investigation (CBI) probe is necessary. Remember, ASG S.V. Raju vociferously putting forth his arguments. Earlier, he said that a probe by the police could be compromised because top police officials are involved, and also Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee should be made party and should be made an accused in this particular case. On the other hand, Senior Advocate Kapil Sibbal and Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi questioned the timing of these raids on the I-PAC office, saying that even if ED wanted to conduct the raids, they could have conducted it earlier. Why now? Why just before the elections? This shows the intent of the Enforcement Directorate and the central government. So heated arguments in the top court as we speak. And also another development is Supreme Court, the two-judge bench's question why ED cannot continue proceedings in the High Court, and also ask the parties to follow the legal process. The court has also noted in a way that Panchnama indicates search was conducted peacefully, while reiterating that emotions cannot repeatedly, because see, it's lawyers are putting for their arguments, counter arguments in the Supreme Court. Here the top court bench is saying that emotions cannot repeatedly go out of hand. And Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi is arguing, as rather alleged, that there is a forum shopping being done by the Enforcement Directorate, and saying that when the hearing was there at what's the point of the two hearings? One in the Calcutta High Court, another in the Supreme Court. But on the other hand, ASG S.V. Raju is saying that there was a kind of theft happened, and he also has said, and that these are very important arguments of ASG S.V. Raju, He is saying that local police cannot be trusted as a CM, and the senior West Bengal police officials are involved in serious offences. And as Viraju has further said, that approaching local police for FIR registration would be futile and could lead to compromised investigation, and hence a Central Bureau of Investigation probe is required to ensure the case is investigated impartially. So these are the arguments and counter arguments being made in the Supreme Court as we speak, because the post-lunch hearing is underway in the top court.
All right, Sambhav. We'll come back to you for more updates as the hearing continues to take place. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast are two guests. With us is Sanjeev Unyal, political analyst. Also with us on the broadcast is Shekhar Vijayan, a political commentator. I'd like to rope in Mr. Unyal first into the discussion over here. My colleague Sambhav has just given us a rundown of what's going on in the court. At the moment, it does seem that the Enforcement Directorate is seeking a stay on the FIRs lodged against its officers, arguing that that their Article 21 rights are being threatened. They're also seeking a CBI probe. Apart from that, the Solicitor General has told the Supreme Court that ED officers have approached it for protection of their fundamental rights and to safeguard victims of money laundering as well. On the other hand, the West Bengal government has argued that the Panchnama records of the Enforcement Directorate of the search claims that it was peaceful. That contradicts its own claims of obstruction. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has questioned why the ED cannot continue proceedings in the High Court and has asked the parties to follow legal process, and has also noted the arguments that have been made by the West Bengal government with regards to the Panchnama, noting that emotions cannot repeatedly go out of hand. It does seem that the West Bengal government has accused the ED of carrying out these raids in a politically charged environment. Where do you see this case headed to next? Do you think it's likely to go back to the High Court, or will the Supreme Court agree to a CBI probe?
But as far as the complete narration you have given to your viewers, I'll touch the very important point which should be come forth before the viewers of this very important program. Sometimes what happens, ED is asking, going for a seizure memo, going for a seizure of a money laundering case under Section 16, which is legitimate as far as Constitution of India is concerned. PMLA Act Section 16 allows ED to search or seize any document from any office. Moreover, this is the I-PAC office. This is not the Election Commissioner's office. This is I-PAC office. So it is a private organization purely, and some evidences corroborated in the prior evidences and trial also that I-PAC is involved, or that's why practically it has been admitted by Mamata Banerjee while reaching herself. Now what I am saying is very pertinent. She, the Chief Minister of a state, is reaching in the ED seizure memo or raid with Director General of Police, not police, not the SHO, not SP, now not IPS, not IG, in fact, Director General, the head of the police, and Mamata Banerjee, head of the state, both have gone and they have seized what they have seized, that Pratik Jain's mobile as well as the laptop, which is a very important document. Moreover, a file has also been taken, that was in the news also. So why she has taken those two documents? What is there in those documents? That is important. Secondly, there is a clear instructions from Mamata Banerjee to the advocates, to their client, to their counsels here, that a notice should not be served to me from Supreme Court of India. That's why A.M. Singhvi and Kapil Sibal are pursuing continuously that a notice should not be served. Then Justice Mishra said, why a notice should not be served? This is our prerogative. This is a very serious matter, he said himself. A notice is to be served to ED Mamata Banerjee and Director General of Police, and a CBI is needed legally. This is the one point, because they are only interested that notice should not be issued against Mamata Banerjee, because these are the instructions from Mamata Banerjee and DGP. But the Supreme Court, the topmost court, land of the court, is saying no, we will issue the notices, and within few minutes, so 15-20 minutes, you will see, as far as I know about the law, a notice will be served to the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and DGP also. What I am saying right now is, the government, the central government or ED is asking for the protection of their men. That's come under the Article 19 of the fundamental rights in the Constitution of India. They have been given us proper security. Moreover, if a DGP of a state is involved and FIR has to be registered against the culprit, who are the culprits? Mamata Banerjee, and accomplice is Director General of Police. So both have to be undergoing a FIR against them. But who will register that FIR? DGP himself is empowering, he himself is a party in that FIR. So this matter is to be given to CBI exclusively, explicitly. So that's why CBI demand is there. So I think that I made certain points very clear before your viewers.
Absolutely, sir. I'd like to rope in Mr. Shekhar Vijayan into the discussion as well. We've just heard Mr. Uniyal put in his points in a very clear, lucid manner. Do you concur with this?
Yes, I think, see, there are three talking points here. One is, the rule of law cannot stop at the Chief Minister's office. See, we've all seen videos of Mamata Banerjee barging in, going in like, acting like a proper local gunda, going in, taking those documents and stepping out, which doesn't seem very well. The rule of law cannot just stop at the Chief Minister's office. She has to set the ball rolling. She has to set an example. The state machinery was also used to undermine a central probe. Here you're realizing that Mamata Banerjee has used the state machinery, which means her police force, against the ED, which is certainly not done. The third thing is there needs to be an FIR which has to be launched, which is impartial. So there is a mix of everything. What she's really done here is she has used the system for her advantage. She has got to know about the fact that the ED is going to do a probe on her. She came in proactively with the DGP, barged in like a local gunda, like what we see in films and movies, took the documents, went away, did not stop for questioning, did not read anybody's answers, just took the documents and went away. Second thing is she used her state machinery, which is her police force, to evade the ED, which is not correct. You're using federalism versus the state agencies. The third thing is she's trying to use this as an excuse, saying that the central government is after her because of elections, which is around the corner. But the fact of the matter is she has made a mistake. There is something more to this, and she's trying to hide something. And this is where I think the courts have to take a right decision, an impartial decision, and question her. How can she just take law in her own hands? How can she just barge into the scene of crime, which is the documents when the ED was going through the documents, when they were taking documents? How can she just confiscate what is her part from the I-PAC office and just come out from there? It makes no sense. It has no head or tail, and obviously it looks very, very, very fishy. And I think it also, if you look at her body language during this entire situation, it looked very shady in terms of how she did it, in terms of how she orchestrated. She was very angry. She was not answering questions, and she felt that this was an agenda against her by the central government. But the fact of the matter here is the ED was supposed to do the job of confiscating those documents, of picking up those documents were illegal or lawful or unlawful. And Mamata Banerjee tried to stop them from doing their job. And that is the crux of it. And, she being the chief minister, she should have set an example. She should have allowed them to go ahead and do the probe and then do what's required and, question it in the court of law. Whereas what she did here is she made a mountain out of a molehill. She started fighting with everybody around it. She didn't answer any questions. And her body language as a leader was very, very, very weak. Which just goes to show that there is something that she's hiding. Which just goes to show that she wants to use her state agencies and try to, make sure that nobody is able to get any of her weaknesses out from her state, which is really bad because under the court of law, everybody is equal. Be it a chief minister, be it you, be it me, or be it my co-panelist. So that's how it should be.
Indeed, I request both guests to stay on with us because we're getting fresh developments from the Supreme Court. At the moment, it does seem that the Supreme Court is dictating the order. At the moment, it is putting on record submissions that have been made by both the parties. My colleague Sambhav Sharma is back with us on the broadcast. Sambhav, what can you tell our viewers, or what exactly has the Honorable Supreme Court noted up until now?
So far, the submissions made by both the parties, on one hand, the important arguments made by the Enforcement Directorate alleging the state authority of not letting ED perform its duties, that is taken into consideration, and also nothing is being seized or also what the ED has said in the Calcutta High Court and also in the Supreme Court that nothing seized, so that's also taken into account. So the Supreme Court is putting on record all the submissions made by the Enforcement Directorate on one hand and various senior advocates who appeared for State of West Bengal. So here, Justice Mishra, while dictating the order, is saying that Mr. Vipul and Mr. Singhvi appearing submitted that present petitions are not maintainable, as in the petitions filed by the Enforcement Directorate are not maintainable. This is what Supreme Court is putting on record. What all the senior advocates have said. It is submitted that there is a pattern of interference by the Enforcement Directorate in the name of investigation exactly when elections are due. Also, this very important update was put on record by the Supreme Court. And on the other hand, because the court is dictating order as we speak. Also, Justice Mishra has said, having heard learned counsel, we are of the prima facie view that the present plea has raised a serious issue relating to the investigation by the Enforcement Directorate and its interference by the state agency. For adherence to rules, shield of law enforcement agency of the state law, and to allow each organ to function independently. So, funders are not allowed to be protected under the shield of state agency. This is what the latest Justice Mishra, one of the judges of the two-judge bench, has said, and putting forth other arguments of various senior advocates on record. Remember, pre-lunch hearing, very important arguments made by the Enforcement Directorate, where it was alleged that Mamata Banerjee should be made an accused in this case, accompanied by the police leadership, who allegedly barged into the in the live PMLA searches by the Enforcement Directorate. This was the ED's argument in the Supreme Court, and also police and state machinery acted together and demoralized in a way the central agencies, obstructing a statutory investigation. Another important argument by Enforcement Directorate. So all these arguments are being put on record as the Supreme Court is dictating a detailed order in this particular case, and also the other arguments by the State of West Bengal, the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and the police, where it was said that ED's actions was politically timed, with searches launched just before elections, despite the last coal scam statement recorded in February 2024. And also, I-PAC premises contain sensitive party and election data. CM as CMC chairperson had a right and duty to protect confidential political material. Another important argument made by West Bengal, State of West Bengal, and CM Mamata Banerjee and police. So these are the important arguments. Court is putting everything on record, and final order is being dictated as we speak. Probably any time. The Supreme. Yes, another important update. Justice Mishra has said that there are larger questions which emerge, and if not answered, shall lead to lawlessness. Now, this is what the Supreme Court now is saying, that there are larger questions which emerge, and if not answered, shall lead to the lawlessness. And if central agencies are working bona fide to prove a serious offense, a question arises: can they be obstructed by party activities? And the notice has been issued with returnable in 2 weeks, as in within 2 weeks, the respondent, that is State of West Bengal, will have to file a reply. Now the breaking news is the Supreme Court has issued notice in this particular case, and reply is to be filed within 2 weeks, and also it is directed by the Supreme Court that respondents shall protect the CCTV footage of the premises. Yes, this is big. This is big. Yes, the Supreme Court has directed that CCTV footage of searches conducted on 8th of January should be preserved. Shall be protected. The Supreme Court has directed that respondents, that is State of West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, police machinery, shall protect CCTV footage of the premises searched on January 8th. This is what is the latest, and also a notice has been issued. Within 2 weeks, the respondents will have to file a reply. So this is what is the breaking news right now. After detailed hearing, 2.5 hours around hearing in the Supreme Court, Supreme Court has issued notice, heard all the parties in this particular case. All senior advocates made their submissions, including Senior Advocate Kapil Sibbal, Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi. On the other hand, for Enforcement Directorate, Additional Solicitor General S.V. Raju, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, everybody made submissions, and now the Supreme Court has issued notice, returnable within 2 weeks. The notice reply by the respondents will have to be filed within 2 weeks. And also the big update in this particular case, CCTV footage of the January 8th raids by Enforcement Directorate shall be protected. Now, it is big. On the next date of hearing, the Supreme Court could see that particular CCTV footage of the raids as to discuss out this larger question, because the Supreme Court has said the larger question which emerged is, if not answered, shall lead to lawlessness. And the Supreme Court has said in its final order, final lines, the Supreme Court said, if central agencies are working bona fide to prove a serious offense, a question arises, can they be obstructed by party activities? Now, it's a big question Supreme Court has posed, and also issued notice, returnable within 2 weeks, and CCTV footage of 8th of January shall be protected, is what is directed by the top court.
All right, Sambhav, thank you so much for, of course, joining us and sharing all those details with our viewers. I'd like to rope in our guests who've been waiting rather patiently with us, Mr. Unyal and Mr. Vijayan, into the discussion over here. Just distilling it point by point, the Supreme Court is of the prima facie view that this petition has raised a serious issue relating to the investigation by ED and other central agencies and its interference by state agencies as well. Apart from this, the Supreme Court has emphasized upon the adherence of rule of law in the country and to allow each organ to function independently. They've stated that it is necessary to examine the issue so that the offenders are not allowed to be protected under the shield of law enforcing agencies of a particular state. Now, according to the Supreme Court, larger questions are involved and have been raised, which if allowed to remain undecided would further worsen the situation, and there would be a situation of lawlessness prevailing in one or the other state, considering that different outfits are governing at different places. The Supreme Court has also noted that it is true that any central agency has no power to interfere with election work of any party, but at the same time, if central agencies are acting bona fide to investigate any serious offence, the question arises as to whether taking shield of party activity agencies can be restricted from carrying out their duties or power or not. Therefore, the Supreme Court has issued a notice to the West Bengal government, asking the West Bengal government to reply in 2 weeks, and also emphasizing that the West Bengal government will protect the CCTV footage of the searches that took place earlier. I'd like to rope in Mr. Unyal into the discussion over here. What is your very first reaction to this order that has come out up until now? This is the latest statement that the Supreme Court has put forth.
As I told in the first half also, that within 15-20 minutes, the Supreme Court will issue notices to the Bengal government, to the Chief Minister, as well as to the Inspector General, Director General of the Police of West Bengal. And this has happened. Now notices has been served. But I think some matter is missing little bit. I have to look into the order also. A stay is also been given that further proceedings in High Court will not take place. This is I think, definitely could be part and parcel of this notice also. I'll go through that, or in the evening we can again discuss. But I'll definitely say that what law says is this, what Supreme Court has done. I should congratulate Supreme Court, because sometimes I see that people say, being a legal lawyer, previously when people used to say, double engine ki sarkar. So it doesn't click me, because federal government is structure is constitutionally governed by this country. But nowadays I've seen number of times, if this double engine sarkar or triple engine sarkar will come into picture, then this type of happenings, wastage of time, wastage of court, wastage of money will not happen in the country. So I'm not saying that people should aware that which government should come into the power. They are the best. Voters will decide. But now the days will come when people will, like your channels are updating the people, they will come to know that they want peace, they want progress, they want development, they want to maintain law and order. If a chief minister herself will become a gunda, if chief minister of a state herself will carry director general of the police with her, then what will happen? On the global level, Trump is doing like this. Chacha Trump Kupa is doing dadagiri. And here you are doing dadagiri. Chachi 420. So this will not happen. But it's going on. The good power should come together cohesively, and people should give second thought while casting their votes. That very, very valuable vote. So I'll close, because I am a law student. I am a law advocate. I am a law graduate. So moreover, I just come from the Supreme Court also. My 3-4 matters were pending, being an additional advocate general in the Supreme Court. So sometimes I get satisfied. If anything is going wrong anywhere in the country, at least courts are there for looking into the actual picture. People are disheartened. They are demoralized. That if ED people will be taken care, and they're going with the local machine, local police, and taking care of ED searches, and taken care of the mobiles and laptops, which are very important evidence in the courts also. As far as BNS is concerned, latest BNS has given a lot of power to digital media also, digital admissibility of the evidences also. So this is means height of, means you are in nexus, and police director general of police is, he's a independent. You have seen what is our constitution. Legislatures, judiciary, and administrative, all three are independent bodies. The IPS, you are after Director General of Police, and she is the Chief Minister. So these are two independent bodies doing coordination. But number of times we have seen, you cannot take you cannot take law in your hand. You are going with your Chief Minister. So you are not a servant of Chief Minister. Although I am an advocate, I cannot follow each and every rule of my whatsoever judge is saying. I have my voice. I always go in the appeal for High Court, then double bench, then Supreme Court, then constitutional bench. So here also in your channel also it happens. If boss has said something, then you have your own views. So that is the beauty of our democracy. That's why it is the biggest democracy of the world.
Absolutely. I'd like to rope in Mr. Vijayan into the discussion here as well. As Mr. Unyal was pointing out, yes, the proceedings and investigations have now been stayed till the next date of hearing, which is the 3rd of February. In the interim, as Advocate Unyal was putting forth his points, there was in fact an objection that was raised by Senior Advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi. He stated that normally the court does not stay the investigation. No coercive steps direction is another option. In response to this, the Supreme Court has noted that the ED officers were armed with authorization letters and they were acting therefore in good faith. They have stated that it is necessary for the court to record this. They have, of course, indicated in the beginning that they were inclined to issue a notice as well. At the same time, the West Bengal government sought more time to file the reply to the main petition. The court declined this as well. What is your reaction to this update? Is this then a major message that is being sent to Mamata Banerjee that yes, it is important to respect the rule of law and the Chief Minister's office is not above the rule of law?
Absolutely. See, there were 3 points which the Supreme Court spoke about, and this is something which we all agreed on, while we were speaking a few minutes back. One is, this should not result in lawlessness, which is not going to happen now with the Supreme Court coming in and taking the decision and giving the state government 2 weeks' time to come back with a response. It just goes to show that the Supreme Court has taken the right decision. The second thing is the rule of law cannot stop at the Chief Minister's door. Like I mentioned in the past, like I mentioned a few minutes back, the Chief Minister did not show the responsibility or the accountability of being a Chief Minister. When she came in there in a car, barged into the place where the documents were being looked at by the ED, along with the DG of the police, it showed like the scenes you find in movies where the Chief Minister does not really listen to anybody, just comes in, picks up those documents and goes back. Does not answer any question from the press reporters. Is very rude, is very arrogant, and feels that this is how it's going to work. Now, the rule of law is applicable for everybody, for you, me, and anyone, even the Chief Minister, even the Prime Minister. Second thing here, the state machinery was used to undermine a central probe. You cannot use the state machinery, which is your state police, to cover up everything so far, which is certainly not done. So then it puts it becomes like a catch-22 situation between the state machinery and the federal agencies, right? So you got the federal agency, which is the ED, and you got the state machinery, which is the police force of the West Bengal government. So you cannot have that situation where they are against each other. Whereas at the end of the day, in a perfect world, in the largest democracy of the world, which is India, everybody should work in sync and everybody should work towards law and justice. Now, this cannot happen. You cannot have the state machinery to undermine a central probe. And I think the third thing is the state police cannot investigate their own boss, So this is what I think an FIR is mandatory here, and the state police cannot investigate their own boss. So the ED was not asking for special treatment. ED was just asking that they could do their job lawfully, correctly, and like a vigilant. And they were not allowed to do that by Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee tried to act like a spoke in the wheel. She wanted to come and interfere in this collation because she was given a tip-off, and she wanted to make sure everything was not collected. And that is one of the primary reasons why the ED has gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the ultimate, balance in terms of justice, and they've taken the right decision here. Now, what's going to be really important here is now with the elections around the corner in West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee knows what this is all about, and she's very clear about it. It also helps that the Supreme Court has taken in account other facts, which means that if this happens, there will be lawlessness, there will be Gudaism, there will be, all kinds of things can happen. Supreme Court has come in and taken the right decision for the time being, right? That's important. And what we need to also ensure from our side, I think, the media being the fourth pillar of democracy, I think it's very important to raise these voices to show that everybody, be it a chief minister, be it a prime minister, be it a president, everybody is equal under the law of the land, right? And that's what makes India so special. That's what makes India the largest and the most vibrant democracy in the world, which I'm sure we all agree on. So I think this is great. This is a good decision by the Supreme Court. But we need to also wait and watch and see how this pans out in the next couple of weeks.
Indeed, and of course, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Vijayan, and I'd like to thank Advocate Unyal also for taking time and sharing your perspectives on the order that has been dictated by the Supreme Court. Of course, one last rundown from my side regarding what the Supreme Court has stated. The Supreme Court has in fact noted that the matter this petition has raised a serious issue relating to the investigation by ED or other central agencies and interference by state agencies as well. They've in fact noted that larger questions have been raised which, if allowed to remain undecided, would further worsen the situation. There'd be a situation of lawlessness. Remember, as Mr. Vijayan pointed out, yes, elections are on the anvil, they are around the corner, and it is important that the rule of law be maintained, that peace prevails. Apart from this, the Supreme Court has issued a notice to the West Bengal government asking it to file a counter affidavit in 2 weeks, and they've also asked I-PAC to preserve the CCTV footage of the raids that had taken place on the 8th of January. Otherwise, apart from that, other proceedings and investigations related to the ED officers, that is the FIRs that were filed against them in West Bengal, they shall remain stayed until the next date of hearing, that is the 3rd of February. On that note, viewers, we are shifting focus to further details coming in. We're now learning that the first ever medical departure of crew 11 astronauts aboard the SpaceX Dragon Endeavour is live as we speak. This marks the first ever controlled medical evacuation in the 25-year history of the International Space Station, following an undisclosed medical event on the 7th of January this year. The astronauts are